So today I wanted to talk about why your virtual event didn't convert the way that you wanted to. And I want to share three biggest mistakes that I see people do and how to actually fix them before 2026. Because time is moving fast. We are at the end of November, and I want you to be prepared and I want you to run your first really high converting virtual event in 2026. And when it comes to people struggle with closing sales from a virtual event, they usually think it's because of the offer, or they think it's because of the investment or the pricing of the offer, or they think they need to teach more. And can these three things be some kind of an issue? Absolutely. But it's not one of the biggest mistakes that I see people do, because the absolute biggest problem in people's virtual event is the structure of the event in itself, the flow, the energy, how it's actually built. And for you who don't know me, my name is Angela. I'm a virtual event sales expert. So what I do is that I help service-based entrepreneurs attract and turn leads from cold to sold using virtual events. But we're not only doing sales with virtual events, we use them to grow our list, grow our audience, claim our category, and save massive amount of time. And I'm going to talk more about that in my upcoming free workshop that I'm going to invite you to at the end of this session. But I didn't start out doing this. I started out building a fitness business. This was back in 2017. I launched a fitness business online. It failed. And then I started to work with virtual events. So I ran one 5-day challenge and one webinar. And that took that fitness business to $100,000 in sale within just 4 months. And in 2019, I started to help others. And in 2020, I closed my fitness business. And from then, this is the only thing that I have been doing. And I still sell everything from virtual events. So what I'm going to talk about today comes from my experience of running virtual events on my own. I have done over 300 of them, but also helped thousands of people run virtual events in different market cycles. Because what it looked back in 2019, 2021, that is not how the market looks today, right? So I wanted to quickly share that so you know where my entire conviction comes from when it comes down to running virtual events as a sales system. But I'm going to jump right into the three biggest mistakes. So number one is that the event in itself is not built as a bridge between the audience and the offer. Okay? Your event doesn't connect where your audience are today, operating inside of their reality and the decision that you want them to make at the end of the event into your offer, purchasing your offer, right? And most events are built around information. An event that convert are built around alignment. Your audience, your messaging, your content, and your offer all speaks the same language. They're all in alignment with each other. I usually say you can't invite dog people to a cat event where you sell a cat stuff, or vice versa. You invite the cat people and then you sell a dog toy. It's just not going to be aligned. So there needs to be, of course, an alignment between these three things: the audience, the offer, and the event, okay? But it's also important to understand that your event should work as a bridge between these two. A powerful event creates a moment of clarity. It creates a transformation, an awareness shift in your audience, and a moment where the audience realize, okay, this is what I have done before, and this is the reason why it didn't work. And this is what I need to do instead. And your offer is going to be the natural kind of next step. That is how you build a bridge, okay? You're not trying to kind of impress by teaching more. You're guiding people into a decision. You're leading people into a decision. So not only should the event be aligned with the audience and the offer, which is kind of natural if you think about it, it also needs to be built to lead people over the bridge, not only dump information, right? So that is the absolute biggest mistakes that I see, that we built them information based. The second thing, second biggest thing that people do that kind of kills conversion is overteaching. And this is connected a little bit to the first one of not having a proper bridge between audience and offer. But also, when it comes to this, so this I need to clear out, because when I talk about that you shouldn't over deliver, it's usually people say, yeah, but if I give them everything, then they don't need to buy. But you can never give away too much free stuff, right? Because the more value you add to the market, the more money you are going to make. Because people buy from people who knows their shit. I'm just going to say it, okay? But what happens is when you overteach is that you overwhelm, okay? And overwhelmed people are not going to purchase. And you turn the entire event more into a classroom, and you stop being a leader, okay? And you need to understand that the accessibility of information is huge. So people are already joining your event overwhelmed with all the information that they already have. But they're still not getting the result. And the information is out there. They can just ask ChatGPT. So the accessibility of information is huge, okay? Which means you can't add more information on these people because they're already overwhelmed. So what you need is clarity. What you need is structure. What you need is awareness shift, shifting beliefs. Make them understand that this stuff over here, this is the reason why I couldn't achieve what I wanted, and this is where I need to go instead. And you need to lead people. So the information that you teach, because you need to teach inside of a virtual event, you need to show your expertise by teaching. So people understand that you know what you are talking about, right? But it needs to be built in a decision-making content that moves people into making a decision, not overwhelming them with information. Information creates overwhelm, and information doesn't create transformation, right? Leadership creates decisions. So when you create that part of the event where you are going to teach your expertise, you need to build it decision making, right? So the content lead people over that bridge naturally into your offer. And that is not going to happen if you treat your entire event as an information dump. You're just going to throw in information and throw in even more and more and more and more, because you think that if I only teach them a little more, they're going to know that I know my stuff and they're going to purchase. And even if that is kind of true, you overwhelm people. And people are just exhausted and they think, oh, I can't do this. It's just too much. And they're not going to purchase. Okay? So alignment between the audience and the offer, your event needs to bridge those two together. And the content that you have inside of that event needs to take these people, lead them over that bridge into your offer. And that is how you create decision-making content. So at the end of the event, when you invite people to purchase, they are already kind of yes. And that leads us to number three. And that is that moment when you invite people that most people call the pitch. I do not call it a pitch, but I'm going to say pitch so you know what I'm talking about, because I believe in conveying a message and invite people, right? But it's the moment when you invite people, when you pitch your offer. And what happens here is the biggest mistake, number three, energy shift. So what happens is that you teach and you lead and you're all into the content and you feel amazing and people are engaging and everything is so good. And then you open cart and you kind of shift and an awkward moment is created, right? This kind of energy shift. And your voice kind of shifts, the tone of your voice and the way that you speak. And you usually speak faster. And you start over explaining your offer. So you go into modules, sessions, all the stuff that is inside. and you kind of make it even sound even more complicated than it is. And what also happens is that you lean back. So you start talking faster, you add more, you start speaking more about your offer. At the same time, you start leaning back. And the audience is going to respond to that, because the energy you project is the energy the audience is going to respond to you, which means they're going to lean back and they're going to feel uncertain. And they're going to say, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this, actually. It sounds a little right now. And conversion doesn't happen because this moment when you pitch is perfect. It has nothing to do with how you explain your modules or your steps in a perfect way. Okay? It happens because your energy stays consistent. So your energy stays consistent from the moment they enter all the way through the content where you lead them over the bridge, and then you hand out this invitation with the same energy, because you so strongly believe in your offer more than anybody else could. And this can only happen, of course, when you practice. That is why I say to my clients, you need to actually run the reps. You need to be willing to run the reps in order to master these kind of holding energy. If we want to put a kind of a word on it, it's holding energy throughout the invitation, throughout the pitch. Okay. So you're actually going to practice holding this leadership into your offer. And the workshop that I'm going to invite you to on day 3, we're going to talk a lot about this moment, because this is something that can be not only practiced, but also in our head be rethought about or redefined to help us holding this and help us show up in the same energy as we have done throughout the entire event. So if you kind of do a little bit of a short recap of these 3 things: no bridge. So you have no alignment between the audience, the offer. So the event isn't built to bridge these 2 together. You're overteaching, so you add information, too much information inside of your event, so your already overwhelmed audience feels even more overwhelmed, right? And the third thing, energy shift. And this can happen absolutely throughout the event, but where it usually happens the most is in the invitation at the end, or the pitch, as a lot of people call it, okay? If you can fix the 3 things, your event is going to skyrocket just with fixing these 3 things, okay? And if this resonated and you want to learn more about how can I actually fix this? How can I host an event without overteaching? How can I practice to hold energy? How can I know that my event actually bridge this? And how can I create this decision-making content that moves people over the bridge into my offer? I host this year's last free workshop, and it's the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th of December. It's 12 p.m. Eastern Time every day. It's about an hour every day. I will host replays for a limited time, but this is energy. And I know that you're going to take in information way better if you're live. So give yourself the gift to be there live and focus, because I am not going to hold back. It's the last workshop of the year. And I want you to go into 2026 and host your best event ever. Okay, so I'm going to share the link below this video, so you can just click on the link and register. And I hope to see you inside of the workshop, or I will see you online next week. So thank you.